What is a little bombshell your therapist dropped in one of your sessions that completely changed your outlook? Stop trying to get everyone to agree. When you need everyone to agree, the least agreeable person has all the power. Really changed my outlook on planning family events. I've always said that in the absence of real leadership, the biggest whiner usually gets what they want. Same idea. Especially in social situations, real leadership is exceedingly rare. I've heard a quote something like, "Power without character is evil." Furthermore, character is a victory, not a gift. Just because you are a character doesn't mean that you have character. The wolf. Don't think of the relationship as over. Think of it as complete. Fundamentally changed how I was processing a tough breakup. So helpful. You complete me. Welp. Guess it's time. Slaps knees and stands up. Take it easy. This visual really made me chuckle. I pictured Christoph Waltz, waltzing out to that line. Meanwhile, I pictured Harry from Dumb and Dumber. I've never really had friends. I've had colleagues and classmates and housemates and people who have hung out with me, but I never really felt close to any of them. And I did that thing you see on here sometimes. I stopped reaching out to see if I would be reached out to, and I wasn't, which I took as confirmation that they didn't really want me around, or at the very least, that they wouldn't mind my absence. I was talking to my therapist about people I'd been close to in college, and she told me to pick one and talk about him. So I did. And after I shared some basic stuff like his name and his major, etc., and a couple anecdotes, she asked me what else I knew about him. And I couldn't answer. It wasn't really a broadly applicable bombshell, but she said, "What else?" and I started crying because I realized that for as simple as the question was, my inability to answer spoke volumes. I've never had good friends because I've never been a good friend. I'm withdrawn and reserved, and I always made others do the work to drag me out, without ever extending my own friendship in a meaningful way in return. If I wanted to have meaningful relationships with other people, I would have to build them. I'm still working on this, but I'm trying to make more offers and extend more friendliness to others in my daily life. Edit. Sorry, I know this is late and the thread has probably died already, but I fell asleep shortly after writing this. I'm in Japan, and the time zone is very mismatched. Several comments have asked me what specifically I've changed, and I have two answers. One is to put myself in a position to find people with shared interests. A look at my profile will confirm that I love One Piece, and manga in general. While I'm here, I booked a tour to visit the statues of the characters erected in the artist's home prefecture of Kumamoto. The tour was public, and it ended up being 6 people total. We bonded over our shared love of the material, and at the end of the tour, 2 people, a couple, invited me to join them for dinner afterward. It was the first time I felt like I'd been invited to something because the inviter genuinely wanted to spend more time with me. I was elated. We talked for 3 hours about theories, favorite moments, real-world meanings and effects, and all sorts of things. The second is that I'm making an effort to ask more questions. I tend to talk without stopping when I get on a topic I'm passionate about. So when I catch myself doing that, I try to stop myself naturally, and ask the other person for their input, or segue into a more personal topic. I want to learn more about these people so that I can be a better friend to them. I learned about them outside of their favorite arc or quote, and I'm glad I did. This is so interesting, because for me it's the opposite. I have few friends, but I know so much about other people, housemates, friends, sport partners, yet they know almost nothing about me. Same here. As usual, it happened just a couple weekends ago, when I went to a friend's family reunion. They were all strangers to me. As usual, I absorbed life stories from everyone there. That's typical. I'm kinda a people person, I guess, which is crazy weird because it's a total 180 for me compared to who I was just 10 years or so. But had a much longer chat with a young boy. When we left, my friend asked me, "Why did you spend such a long time talking to that 12-year-old boy?" I told him, he's the only that wasn't stuck on broadcast. He asked me why my job was, if I was married, if I had kids, what my favorite subject was in school. It's sad, but I'd say only about 10 to 20% of the people I meet are reciprocal in a conversation. Totally get this. I will say, one thing that has made me sympathetic towards this, is that I have realized that often this can be a sign of loneliness. I notice about myself, for example, that I am much more likely to talk a lot about myself without asking as much about the other person, when I have had limited adult contact. I work primarily from home and have 2 small children. I think I am subconsciously just really itching to talk to someone, so when I have the chance, I unfortunately end up talking more about myself than I should. By contrast, when I have had more recent social interaction, I am much more apt to be inquisitive about the lives of others. It's not just myself I've noticed this behavior in. My husband works alone, so he doesn't have that coworker social camaraderie that many have. So I have noticed that he often talks about himself, without asking quite as much about the other person. He's not terrible about this, but he could improve. I've noticed quite a bit, people who have less social contact tend to want to discuss themselves more when presented with the opportunity for interaction. My neighbor is this way. My dad, who is older, unmarried, and works alone is this way. My remote coworker who also works primarily from home is this way when I see her in person. I'm sure it's not always just loneliness, but also a minor deficit in interpersonal skills because their social contact is limited. I think it's a similar reason why older people tend to talk about themselves. They're lonely. However, that doesn't mean that some people aren't just plain self-involved and socially unaware. There's those obnoxious types, too, who really have no excuse.
Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, remember to like and subscribe. Have a great day.